The open ocean is usually defined by a slow, rhythmic predictability. Down in the quiet depths, life moves at a deliberate pace. Drifting through this environment is an animal that looks almost entirely defenseless. The box jellyfish is 95% water, a translucent entity lacking armor or jaws. Yet this fragile anatomy houses a venom that ranks as the most lethal on the planet. In mere fractions of a second, a trace amount of its toxins can permanently halt an adult human heart. The box jellyfish relies on a synchronized microscopic ambush that overwhelms the victim's biology before they even realize they've been struck. The mechanics of this ambush are hidden along the animal's tentacles. Zooming in to a microscopic level, we find millions of highly pressurized biological containers. This diagram shows a container known as a nematocyst. Inside, a complex hydraulic mechanism is coiled incredibly tight, waiting for physical disruption. A microscopic brush triggers a violent release, instantly launching a hollow, venom-laced barb deep into the victim's tissue. This firing sequence is one of the fastest recorded movements in the animal kingdom, penetrating human skin faster than a bullet leaving a rifle barrel. By the time the nerve endings in the skin register the contact and alert the brain, millions of barbs have already secured their massive payload directly into the bloodstream. Once injected, the toxins bypass local tissue and ride the circulatory system straight toward the heart muscle. In this cellular membrane model, ion channels control sodium and potassium flow. Their rhythmic opening and closing generate electrical pulses that trigger the heartbeat. Venom wedges directly into these gates, trapping them open, forcing a chaotic flood of particles across the membrane. This forces a complete collapse of the electrical charges that govern the cardiac muscle. The physical heart instantly loses its synchronized pumping rhythm, descending into a fatal chaotic spasm known as severe cardiac arrhythmia. The venom weaponizes the heart's own life-sustaining electrical grid, forcing an immediate and systemic failure. While the electrical grid collapses, a second simultaneous attack strikes the peripheral nerve fibers surrounding the original sting site. Specific proteins in the venom latch onto local pain receptors and artificially stimulate them. This chemical overload pushes them far past their normal maximum threshold, firing a relentless stream of distress signals back to the brain. The resulting physical sensation is an excruciating burning agony that completely overrides any other conscious thought or bodily response. The sheer volume of this unmanageable sensory data forces the central nervous system into a systemic failure, rapidly plunging the body into neurogenic shock and imminent respiratory collapse. This agonizing pain is a targeted biological tactic designed to instantly paralyze prey with physical shock, stopping them from fighting back or escaping. As the heart and nervous systems falter, a third fatal mechanism activates deep within the blood plasma itself. The venom drifting through the circulatory system begins to collide directly with red blood cells. The chemical reaction is so aggressive that it literally tears the structural walls of the cells completely apart. In this diagram, you see the consequence of ruptured cells. The internal contents, a massive amount of potassium, leak directly into the blood plasma. This line graph illustrates hyperkalemia. Within seconds, potassium levels in the victim's blood spike into a lethal overload. This sudden, absolute saturation of potassium acts as a biological kill switch, physically paralyzing the heart muscle and preventing any further contractions. The box jellyfish secures its lethality by dismantling the victim's own cells, weaponizing their internal potassium reserves to guarantee the kill. To survive an encounter of this magnitude, we have to look back to the external sting site on the victim's skin. The immediate aftermath presents a dangerous reality. Millions of unfired stinging cells remain glued to the flesh, loaded with venom and waiting to trigger. The scientifically proven intervention relies on saturating the area with acetic acid, the exact chemical compound found in ordinary household vinegar. Looking at this split-screen model, the chemistry becomes clear. Side A shows an active stinging cell. On side B, as the vinegar coats the cell, the acetic acid acts as an inhibitor, safely locking the internal hydraulic spring tightly in place and deactivating the threat. Despite this, human instinct often urges victims to rinse the burning wound with fresh water, a mistake that triggers a second massive wave of venom injection. If fresh water is applied, the sudden shift in osmotic pressure violently forces the surrounding liquid inside the cell walls. This causes every single unfired nematocyst to swell and explosively fire its remaining venom directly into the victim. Surviving a box jellyfish sting leaves no room for error. You have to counter a highly evolved biological weapon with exact chemical precision. As the jellyfish retreats back into the darkness, its true nature is clear. It is a biological system built for absolute efficiency, utilizing a synchronized triple threat of microscopic needles, electrical sabotage, and sensory overload. While nature commands invisible dangers that can shut a human body down in mere minutes, a precise understanding of biological science offers our single most reliable defense. Hit the subscribe button to continue mastering the complex science behind the natural world's most extreme forces. Because out in the deep, ignorance is a profound vulnerability, and scientific knowledge is exactly what keeps you alive.